Well, hello and welcome.
Why did you just stop?
We're on a roll. I feel like we need one of those things next to the camera that's like
Yeah, for the scene things.
yeah, like when the president speaks, they've got like that clear, like
Oh,
a
a
manuscript
teleprompter?
That's
I thought
the
you were
word.
talking about the thing that they click in between signs.
Oh,
or
take
scenes.
two?
Yeah, that thing.
Yeah, no, not quite.
Oh.
That would be so funny. We would need to like hire some people for that.
Probably.
That's higher than our current budget
Correct.
for the podcast, which is
Zero.
approximately $0. Anyways, hello and welcome to On Cloud 9, episode 7.
Yeah.
I'm Chris,
I'm Carolyn.
and today we wanted to talk about honesty in your relationship, in our relationship,
Yeah.
because we're not always honest with each other.
We're not?
No. I feel like some people say you need to be honest with your spouse 100% of the time, and this is not true.
Yeah, I get that.
Like, I wasn't honest with you about when we got engaged.
Well, that's true. I mean, you don't want to just like flat out tell me and then ruin the suspense or the surprise of it.
Right. This is true. Also, speaking of honesty, we have to be honest before we get started because I usually put my foot up like this, and we are both shoeless and sockless today.
Yeah. All of my socks are in the bottom of the laundry basket. They are clean.
You're doing laundry.
Yeah.
That's okay. So anyways, if you see my little toes, if you're watching online, look at... Sorry, I'll try and keep them down because I am not a fan of toes. Toes kind of creep me out.
Yeah.
Even my
Agreed.
own toes I do not like.
You have nice feet for a guy.
Oh, well, thank you. So anyways, I don't think that 100% honesty is the answer in relationships.
I think
There's some things that mostly just surprises.
true. Like that's where I'm thinking. I think that's really the only exception is if you're planning a surprise for your spouse. That's when it's okay to be a little bit misleading with the details. But other than that, it needs to be full transparency.
Yeah, I feel like we've built our relationship on transparency and honesty from the very beginning.
Yeah.
I mean, we were super honest about what we wanted in our relationship, who we were, like where we were in our personal lives, in our relationship with God, past relationships, all of those things we were very open about. And I think it just leads to, it's just one less thing in our relationship that we don't have to worry about.
Yeah. I agree.
You know, it's not a stress or a burden, or I'm not worried about like keeping my finances a secret from you or keeping any like secret relationships from you, or, you know, our plans for the future aren't a mystery to either one
Right.
of us. Like our entire lives are very open and very transparent with each other.
Mm-hmm. I feel like it should be though with your spouse. That's the one person that you're choosing to be fully known by. And so I feel like it's disrespectful to them if you're not 100% open, honest, and transparent with them. But also that's kind of where tendencies of infidelity, no matter what it is, financial infidelity, relational infidelity, that kind of, it opens up a safe space for that stuff to happen when you're not fully transparent with them. Yeah, and that I just totally lost my train of thought, but your spouse is the one person, like I said, that is, you chose to let them be that one person you can be fully honest with. And if you can't be with your spouse, then that's a little alarming.
Definitely.
You need to revisit that a little bit because you made that choice and it shouldn't be somebody else outside of your marriage.
Right. Yeah. And I don't, I'm confident that you don't. Like, I don't have relationships with other women in my life.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't have female friends. We have friends that are couples.
Yeah.
That I'll talk to that person, or like your sister, I'll talk to her, but I don't like text single women like as a friend.
Right.
I'm not like checking in to see how they're doing. And that's like a decision that I've always made when I've been in relationships, that I'm not going to talk to like other single women. And it's not because they're like, well, what are you afraid that you're going to sleep with them? Well, no, I'm not afraid that I'm going to sleep with them because I don't even start to go down that path.
Right.
Like, I feel like a lot of relationships and cheating on your spouse or boyfriend or girlfriend or whatever it is, it always starts off innocent. It's always like, oh, I just commented on their Facebook thing. You hear this all the time. Oh, I wished her a happy birthday on her birthday on Facebook, and then the conversation just never ended.
Yeah.
And you're like, you don't just start sleeping with somebody when you're cheating. It's like, it starts little and then it grows. And then you're like, oh, I've been talking to this person for a week straight. And you have this little side relationship. You know?
Yeah.
So I think that like not even going down that path. So anyways, I don't have like single friends that are women.
Right.
We have friends that are couples that we hang out with, and I'll talk to those women like separately in a text individually, but very rarely.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time it's like a group text.
Yeah, 100%.
If I'm trying to plan something to surprise you, I may talk to your sister individually or something, or your sister like I talk to.
Yeah.
It's family. That's a little different. But like our friend group, I don't like go out of my way to check in on the women to see how their week is going.
That's my job.
That's your job. Exactly. And the women are your friends, and they're my friends too, and I care about them. But I'm not going to put myself in a position where I could potentially, be misled,
right,
or be misleading to you. And even if I do talk to certain people, like especially women individually, I almost always tell you, like, hey, I talked to so-and-so today.
Yeah.
Or I sent so-and-so a message. This happens to me on Instagram a lot because I feel like I'm fairly friendly. And so if one of your girlfriends posts something on Instagram, I'll be like, hey, good job, keep it up, or something like that. But I almost always tell you when I do that, like, hey, I sent so-and-so a message.
Yeah.
Just because I don't want you to think or you to see it, because you're in my phone a lot.
We have an open phone policy in our marriage.
Completely open phone policy.
Yeah.
Our phones are never like, my phone is never like face down hiding something from you.
No.
I keep my phone face down so I don't scratch the camera.
I do the same thing.
That's the reason I keep it face down, not to hide anything.
Yeah.
And we know each other's passwords on our phones. It's not like, you see those videos that are like, how much do you trust your spouse?
Oh, yeah.
And they like try and they're like, why don't you hand them your phone and tell them your password? And they won't do it.
Yeah.
And I always watch that stuff and I'm like, I would have no problem doing that.
Yeah.
The only time I was ever worried about that was when when I had your ring and I had texted pictures to some people. And then I remember this very clearly because we were in the car and I asked you to text a group of friends. And I was thinking, oh, shoot. I was going to say, oh, shit. I said, oh, shoot. And then I realized that's 30. Not me. I would say, oh, shit. Yeah. So anyways, I love Jesus, but I cuss a little.
We're not perfect people. we try, but.
So anyways, that's the thought that went through my mind. But it was because I think the last text that I sent them was a picture of your ring, and I didn't want you to see that. So it had nothing to do with like infidelity or anything like that.
I remember that moment too. And I didn't even think anything of it when at first you're like, hey, can you text so-and-so in a group message? I was like, yeah, that's fine. And you're like, actually, hold on a second. I think you like covered it up so well. You're like, I think I might have already texted them. Let me check. And you went through your phone and I was paying attention to my phone, I think, in the car. And anyway, so I didn't even think anything of it until after we got engaged and you told me about it. And I was like, truthfully, like you didn't act out of character at all, which I know in some situations could be alarming for other people of like, wow, you hid that really well. Of like you talking to other people.
You're a good liar.
Yeah. But first of all, you're not a good liar. I don't know how you pulled off.
That's rude.
I don't know, which is a good thing. I don't know how you pulled off us getting engaged so well. I think it's just because it was such a big moment. But yeah, like you said, back to like if you send one of my friends a message on, Instagram or whatever saying like, hey, great job. Because there's been a lot of like big life moments recently with our friends that I know you do. But a lot of it too is not even you sending a message, just like commenting on their post. So it's public. So then I see it. And in my brain, just because I know you and I'm confident in like your honesty in our relationship, I'm like, oh, that's great. Like he's cheering on my friends, but I think, which I have been in relationships previous to you where it was constantly like that. Like the phone was always hidden.
Mm-hmm.
I knew there were messages going back and forth. Like I knew there was some cheating going on behind the scenes. And so you start to become very aware of that, and you try not to carry that into each relationship afterwards, because that new person isn't like the previous one. But that's something that I've appreciated very much about our marriage and our relationship from the very beginning, is like, you can check my phone, go through my pictures.
Right.
Like I see that challenge all the time that you're talking about of them like, do you trust your partner? And they're like, okay. And then they'll grab their phone and like, all right, we'll open Snapchat. And then they immediately take the phone back. And I'm like, all of these apps were just made for so many people to get away and like hide their evidence and all this stuff. And it's like, all right, go for it. Go look through my phone. Like you'll find all these random text messages and stuff, but none of it is like anything that would be disrespectful to you or unfaithful to you by any means.
Right.
So, but
yeah. And just to stay on the social media topic, because I feel like this is a good example, just all around, is it's not like I'm commenting like fire emojis or heart eyes on your friend's post. It's like almost always, if I'm commenting, it's congratulatory or supportive. Not like supportive with like, oh, you look so good.
right.
Like, hey, great job. Keep it up if you're doing a workout or whatever. And the other thing with social media that I did recently, maybe a couple months ago, I don't even think I told you this, but I went through and unfollowed a bunch of people.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Like specifically females. So, and not because like I message them or I talk to them, but because I don't need that temptation in my life. And we all know social media can be used for many different reasons. The main one being attention. I mean, it's social media, what it all comes down to is attention. Everyone's looking for attention. Everyone wants attention, which is fine. We all crave to be desired and be wanted. That's normal. But I don't want to be following like specifically single females that post bikini pictures where I'm like tempted. Why would I even keep that temptation in my life if I don't need it? I'm fully committed to you, and I don't need to have a separate temptation that could possibly lead me down this road. And it's not like, oh, I'm going to see a girl in a bikini, I'm going to instantly message her. But why would I even allow that temptation to be a possibility? And so I went through and unfollowed a bunch of females. And I'm not saying the ones that I followed, in case one of them happens to be listening, which the odds are probably 0. And they're like, he unfollowed me and I don't even post bikini pictures. It doesn't have to do with the bikini pictures. It's like men are men and women are women, and men are physically attracted to women. It's just how it is. Right. And so unless I had like a friendship with that person prior, I unfollowed them.
Right.
And it's just like, why am I following you? It's nothing against you. I hope you live a great life. I really do. But I haven't talked to you since high school.
Right.
And even in high school, I might have said like 3 words to you in passing. I don't need to follow along with your life. I have enough going on in my life, you know?
Yeah.
Like so it's just one of those things like, you know, no offense, nothing personal, but I'm just choosing a relationship with this woman and not these random other women that I happen to know from passing.
I think that says a lot about your character too. I mean, we talked about that a lot in our premarital counseling books in that chapter. Like, men are always acutely aware of women around them just because that is literally how their brain is wired. And so it's not, if they can limit the distraction or limit the temptation, like you said, it's just better that way. And I get that. And, you know, as a woman, you go through all these phases of life, which this is off topic about honesty, but backing up what you're saying about, you go through these phases all the time of like you being in a situation where you're not wearing something that is incredibly revealing, but you're still like objectified by what you're wearing because too much of your legs are showing. Or in college, like I couldn't wear shorts to class. Like that was a school rule because it was a temptation, could be a temptation for other men on campus or boys on campus. And I'm like, are my knees going to turn you on? Like, are my kneecaps that attractive? Like, you know, so it was very frustrating because it's like, why do I have to cover my body head to toe just to keep you from looking at me the wrong way, or you getting this image in your head that's I'm not portraying or whatever. I get that. But also you see there are a lot of people on social media who might boast that they are super confident and they are, you know, a daughter of the king and they're a Christian and they, you know, are just so confident in who God says that they are. But then they're posting half naked pictures on Instagram and Facebook all the time, or they're wearing bikinis that like literally it's like dental floss on your body, or, you know, you're posting at these angles where like you're showing more cleavage than you are your face and all this stuff. And it's like, you are looking for validation, like you said. They want that attention. They want somebody to notice them because they might be lonely or they might be insecure in whatever phase of life that they're in. But you see that a lot. It's like a lot of times it's women who have been cheated on in the past who are posting, you know, stuff like that for validation because they are craving the attention. And yet they are by what they're posting can cause somebody else to be tempted by their pictures. And it's like, you're doing the exact thing that you don't want to realistically. So yeah, just picking back on what you said, I appreciate the fact that you did that. And I mean, our relationship is obviously incredibly important, which I already knew that, but I appreciate you kind of limiting that temptation. And that's the thing for me. Like anytime I've ever been in a relationship, I don't even think about another person. And especially like once I met you, I'm like, I'm not even entertaining the thought of being attracted to another man because I'm like, they're not you, first of all. And it's like you recognize people in the street. I'm like, yeah, that's an attractive person, but it's not like, oh my gosh, I have to find out who that is. Like I need to look up their information, like,
Right.
you know? So, and that's where I think it's just like the foundation of our relationship comes into place, but then also our honesty policy and us being just so transparent with each other. If like that thought doesn't even cross my mind of like, wow, I want to get to know this person. I want to send them a message.
Yeah, of course.
You know?
I totally agree. It's hard. I bet for women, and I can't speak to it, I'm just guessing. The social media thing, I know that a lot of women post on social media and portray confidence, which if you were confident and you like go to the gym and worked on your body for years, like good for you. That's awesome. And you want to post, you know, your bikini competition pictures or whatever, or you're just at the beach hanging out with friends.
Yeah.
Like I get it. I'm not saying like I'm judging you for doing that, but there's a difference between doing that and when every single one of your posts is like your boobs hanging out.
Yeah.
Big difference.
Yeah.
Between like being confident and seeking attention. And I think everyone can tell the difference and knows like, oh, this was something they posted because they're really confident and proud of what they accomplished, or you have 100 photos and 99 of them are your tits.
Yeah.
Big difference.
Huge difference.
So it is what it is. You're welcome to post whatever you want on social media. But if you do that, I'm not following you.
Yeah.
You know? So, but plenty of other single men will. Plenty of other married men probably will too.
Yeah.
So anyways, it's not something that I'm like harping on and saying it's the woman's fault that these men are looking at them. Right. I mean, it's not. Men look at women. Men are attracted to women. Wow, my voice just cracked. We'll be out and about. And because I know we read those premarital counseling books and it described very well, like what goes on inside the brain of a man. Like it kind of explained it like this, like if a hot chick walks into a room, every man is fully aware of like where that hot chick is at all times. Mm. You know, and if we see somebody when we're out, like whether it's a couple and the female is like, has good fashion sense or something, and she's pretty, I'll be like, oh, look, she's pretty. Or she's got cool style. Mm-hmm. And I feel like I say it a lot more than probably other guys do in relationships because I'm not afraid to say that to you because you're aware of it. And if there's like, or if one of our friends is in a new relationship and, you know, we just meet the girl and we'll leave and I'll be like, oh, she was pretty.
Yeah.
And you would agree with me. I'm not like, oh my gosh, Jason's girlfriend's so hot and like drooling over her, you know? But recognizing somebody's beauty is not cheating. There's a big difference between like, if I went and before we even got in the car to leave, like followed her on Instagram and
that's
liked her stuff, that would be weird, right?
Yeah.
But acknowledging that somebody's attractive is totally normal. Mm-hmm. Like people are attractive. You're not the only attractive woman in the world.
Right.
You're fully aware of this.
Yes.
Now, you're the woman that I am most attracted to out of any of them. But that's not to say there's not other pretty girls in the
Right.
world. It would be naive of you to think that you're the only girl that I've ever looked at and thought, oh, she's pretty.
Yeah.
You know, like, so it's for me when I say things like that, and I feel like I do say it often, or, well, I'll just finish this thought first. But I do say it often, but I say it almost because I know that me telling you it almost validates like, oh, you know what's going on in my brain. And then it's just out there. It's not like, but again, it's not like, oh, shit, babe, and that girl's hot over there.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not being like a sleazeball about
Right.
it. And the other thing is, if you're a guy and you like act like you don't look at other women in your relationship, you're lying to yourself
Yeah.
and your spouse. We'll see women out who have, how do I say this? Larger than life features sometimes on either
Unrealistic
on the
features.
top or the bottom of their bodies. And I'll be like, babe, look at that. Just because it's like anatomically.
Yeah.
Anatomically. That's the word, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like mesmerizing. And when it's over the top big, I'm not even like sexually attracted to it.
It's more of a shock factor.
It's more of a shock, and I just want to look at it. Like, you gotta look. I can't take my eyes off it. You know?
Yeah.
You'll be like driving through the Walmart parking lot and they'll like come walking out. And you'll be like, look at the booty on that one. Like, and it's not even like, whoa, that's a nice butt. You're like, I don't know if it's nice or what, but it's big, you know? But you get it too. As a female, you don't not see it. So I'm not going to like watch this gigantic, larger than life butt go walking by and not, we both see it. We might as well acknowledge the fact that it's there and have a good laugh about it. You know?
Yeah. And that's not to say, like, I know you bringing it up it's never been a disrespect. I've never felt disrespected by you bringing it up because it's never been like you said, you're not like, wow, that girl's hot. You know, like you're not lusting after this person. You're like, and you are very into like men's fashion and like you have a good sense of fashion anyway, but so that's something that you recognize all the time when we're out is like, wow, they dress really nice. I do the same thing all the time. We were literally leaving church yesterday and I was like, wow, I noticed this one girl and she looked very put together. And I'm like, we probably woke up at the same time this morning and I did not look put together at church. Well, I didn't feel put together at church whatsoever yesterday. And I'm like, yeah, that's not going to be me. I'm like, I try, but sometimes I just can't pull it off. And so like, I will make those comments so he knows it's a safe place to be like, he'll recognize something and he'll call it out. But I am confident enough in myself and I'm confident enough in our marriage that I don't take that as him being disrespectful to me or like something I need to be insecure about whatsoever. But yeah, it is funny. I think most of the time though, when it is on the flip side of that, where somebody has larger than life features or things that are clearly not real. And you like, sometimes I'm like, yeah, it was probably done to get this sort of reaction out of people that we have maybe to where like, you can't not see it pretty much where it's more of a shock factor than anything. You're like, I can't be the only one seeing this. Like, please tell me you're actually recognizing this too. So I don't want, people to think that it's like, oh, wow, he says those things. Like, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. Like, And
it's not just like over the top features like that.
Yeah.
I mean, we've been at the beach and you see some girl walk by with dental floss going up her butt and nothing. I mean, that's it.
Yeah.
And you're like, you see this chick walking down the beach naked?
Yeah. Like, what are you doing?
Well, and again, it's
with
not,
her parents.
Well, yeah. And it's not like I'm sitting there like, oh, like drooling, scanning her across the beach. But like I said, we're both there. We both see it. We're not going to acknowledge that this chick's wearing nothing.
You might as well just call a spade a spade. And
it is what it is. And again, if she's confident and she wants to wear that, more power to her.
Exactly.
Great. I hope my daughter doesn't do that if I ever have one. But
yeah, no, she won't.
I mean, it's like instead of just pretending like it doesn't exist, just call it out and say, yeah, look at that. There it is.
Yeah.
We've seen her naked now.
Pretty much.
I think in today's day and age, especially at the beach, it's way more common to be wearing next to nothing.
And I don't, as somebody who's more, like I've always naturally been a little bit more modest because when I was younger, I did have certain aspects of my body that developed a lot faster than other girls in my grade. And I've always been self-conscious of that. And even now at 30 years old, I'm like, I don't want people to be staring at me for that. Like, I would much rather have good fashion and not have to show off my entire body to do that and to look nice and feel confident. And so, yeah, I'm like, you know what? If you want to walk around in tight leggings and, show your butt off or whatever, and because you're working hard for it, by all means, do it. Like, it's fine. But just me and like the foundation that I've always had is like, I would much rather dress nice and be modest. And it's like, your features are going to be showed off no matter what. But I think it's just a way for me to be honest with myself too, and my confidence of like how I'm portrayed. But realistically, I'm the most comfortable in athletic shorts and a big t-shirt or sweatshirt. So what are you going to do? But
yeah. And I don't want this to come across like, oh my gosh, they're like dogging people who wear thong bikinis. If that's what you wear, like, fine. I don't care. It doesn't bother me. I'm not judging you. I'm not one of these people who's like, oh, what was she wearing? She was asking for it. Like, nothing like that. But if you're wearing something like that, you know there's going to be eyes on you. Yeah. So just own it. And if you're wearing a piece of dental floss up your butt, just know that me and my wife are both looking at you. It's not just me.
Okay. So. And while we're on this topic, because I know this has nothing to do with honesty, but like you said, you dress the way that you dress. If you were walking out the door, say actually you're going to the gym, because I've seen so many videos of this and it drives me absolutely bananas recently.
She's getting hot about this.
I'm getting hot about this. So I have an issue, and this might be a hot take, but some of you girls, I love you, but you need to hear this. If you go to the gym and you are working out in a sports bra that is barely covering your nipples and nothing else, and you are in super tight biker shorts that are straight up your butt, and you are recording yourself doing whatever, you know what? If you want to record your workout and post it for people, that is fine. But if you're going to be one of those girls who's barely wearing any clothes in a public place in the gym where there are men everywhere, you are dressing for attention. You need to own that right then and there. Like, you are dressing for a specific reaction from other people when you put something like that on in a public space that is filled with men working out. You are going to get attention and a lot of testosterone. Like, I understand that there's this whole self-love and be confident and live your truth and whatever it is, that if I understand that you want to be confident in what you're wearing, and by all means, I want you to be confident in yourself. But if you are going out in public and you are wearing next to nothing, especially in a gym or a grocery store, in an airport, wherever it is, and you have people making comments to you about what you look like and you're getting mad about it, and you're like, you need to stop talking to me like that, or I don't deserve this. Miss Ma'am, change your clothes, and then those comments will stop. And I say that with all of the love in my heart. You have to have more respect for yourself as a woman and as a person to know that if you go out in public and you are wearing next to nothing, you are going to get the attention that you do not want, but you're going to get the attention that you're dressing for. You can go to the gym and record a workout and have an excellent workout, and you can still be wearing a sports bra and biker shorts or whatever, but have most of your body covered up and still look incredibly amazing in the gym or in the grocery store if that's where you're at, or just out in public taking a walk. And you can get a different level of attention and respect because you're carrying yourself in a higher manner. And that's all I have to say about that. I'm off my soapbox now, but that's just something we were on the topic and I needed to address it because I think so many girls now are it just gets me fired up because I'm like, you have more confidence in yourself as a woman to know that you do not need to dress in next to nothing or skin tight clothes to be a woman of value.
Right.
So anyway, that's where my heart's at. I got a little fired up about it, but
you
that's
did.
Just, that's
you did.
just
I like
me.
that.
Yeah.
And you're passionate.
That quiet fire, I guess, is what you call it. Yeah. So anyway, back to the honesty topic. I guess that falls along the lines of honesty, like honesty with yourself.
No, just be honest with yourself. Yeah. I mean, if you want to dress for attention at the gym, there's nothing wrong with that. But if you want to dress for attention at the gym, don't complain about the attention that you get.
Yeah.
And again, this is not us saying like that there's not creeps at the gym.
Right. There are.
There's creeps everywhere. And you should be able to wear what you want without people being creepy. But the fact is that they are. And this is the world we live in. So.
And I think that's where part of my like energy comes from with all of that is like in getting worked up is like, I know that side because I have been in situations before where I was in a baggy t-shirt and shorts at the gym by myself. And this is part of the reason I don't enjoy going to a gym unless I'm with other people or I'm in a class with other people that I know, because I've been in situations where like you can feel somebody staring at you from across the gym, and it's not in a way of like admiring your workout. They're like, you can tell the difference of like somebody's about to get a little like predatory over you, or like they're just looking at you because like maybe they notice that your form is a little off and they're going to give you some advice. Like there's a huge difference there. And I think that's where I get so heated, is like it's in a protective manner almost of there are some downright creeps, like you said. And there's been situations like walking around the store in like a winter coat and jeans, and I've like felt very uncomfortable with the way that men were like acting around me and things. And so it's like having that sense of awareness, but it's also in the way that you dress is like you're going to draw more attention. So you might get some attention from like the cute guy in the gym that you want, but then there might also be another guy in the opposite corner looking at you that you're not noticing. And that could end up putting you in a situation that you don't want to be in, nor did you ask to be in.
Right.
Because that's just the world that we live in, like you said. So I think that's where it comes from.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean,
Yeah.
I feel like we turned into a social media topic from honesty, but that's okay.
Yeah, that's okay.
The conversation goes where it goes.
And that's how the real conversations are with us anyway. We go from one topic to the next.
Yeah, we're all over the place. We were hanging out with some friends at the church yesterday. At one of the churches we go to, there's a big barn out back, and we hang out, and there's projectors, so we watch football or whatever. But we were hanging out, and I was thinking at one point, I'm like, man, I just want to record this whole conversation just to listen to it back and see like us hopping from conversation lily pad to conversation lily pad with no.
Yeah.
At one point, somebody was telling a story, and all I'm thinking in my head is, how the hell did we get here?
Yeah. It's like you're making a spider web pretty much. Just go jumping from one part to the next.
And all over the place with no like.
Yeah. And every once in a
trajectory.
while, we'll circle back and end up where we started. But it's like always 20 minutes and 7 conversations later, we finally get back to where we started. We're like, oh yeah, that's what I'm like. Long story short, this is what I was like trying to tell you this whole time.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that happens with me a lot because I know I'm bad about this, and I've been trying to work on this for years, but I'll cut people off. I'll jump right in and start talking, and then I'll be like, oh crap, what were you saying? Like half the time I'll catch myself like 30 seconds in and be like, I'm so sorry. What were you saying? Because I totally cut you off. So I've been getting better about recognizing when I do it, but I'm not getting any better about not doing it.
You're getting a little bit better, but yeah, that's okay.
Yeah. So
it's a work in progress. That's all good.
Yeah. I'm being honest with myself about who I am, and I'm okay with it.
Yeah. You're a pretty cool guy anyway.
Yes.
Okay. So relationship honesty. We kind of touched on that, but what other types of honesty? We talked about financial honesty a little bit.
Yeah. Those were kind of the 2 big ones I wanted to make sure we touched on. Financial's a big one. We talked about this in our budget episode. But just being honest, particularly before you get married, about your finances and where you're at. And then afterwards, like, we share a bank account, so there's really no hiding anything, except you haven't set up your online account yet. So I guess I could hide some things if I really wanted to. Yeah. But we've had the same bank account for over half a year now. And Caroline has not set up her online access.
Tried to, and then the username that they gave me wasn't working. And then I called customer service, and she was like, oh, well, you have to call this other customer service. Like, this isn't the correct number for it. And I was like, I just gave you all of my information. And it was like from the credit union. And so I was like, okay. So I called the other number, and they're like, okay, well, we'll get this set up and reach out to you. And then they didn't. And then I just keep forgetting to do it. So here we are almost 7 months later, and I just haven't done it.
See, this is a +1 for sharing a bank account because you don't even need to, really.
No, it's fine. I mean, my other accounts, my old accounts are closed, and I'm like, well, I know we have money in the account because we have financial conversations all the time about it, and so you show me what's in there.
Yeah.
And I know if I needed to, I could just pick up your phone and look, but
that's true.
I'm like, that's fine.
That's true.
It's probably better off that I'm not constantly looking at the number in our bank account anyway.
Yeah.
It's a lot less stressful to live like that when I'm like, yeah, I'll just look in every dollar and like see where we're at in our budget. I'm like, we're good. It's fine.
Yeah. So yeah, financial honesty is a big one. I mean, if you're spending money and not telling your spouse, well, if you're spending money and you on something you've agreed not to, it's a big deal.
Yeah.
If you're spending your personal money, like I don't care where you spend your money. It's your money. Do whatever you want with it. I could care less.
Yeah.
I couldn't care less.
Yeah.
That's a phrase people get
wrong all the time. I say it wrong all the time.
So there was some confusion. I wanted to talk about this. I want to go
Okay.
back to last episode
Okay.
when we're talking about phrases, because there was some confusion about the uphill downhill thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I understand that it's all downhill from here is a phrase that means it's like easy, it's coasting. Look, I ride bicycles for fun. So I completely understand the benefits of downhill and how great it is. But what I'm saying is people use the phrase wrong. Like people, this happened when we got married. People are like, oh, you got married, it's all downhill from here. And they say it in a negative way.
Yeah.
So that's what I was trying to emphasize, was that people use the saying wrong. Much like people use the I could care less phrase wrong.
Yeah.
The phrase, what you're trying to say when you say I could care less is I don't care at all. And what you mean is I couldn't care less, meaning you couldn't care any less. If you say I could care less, it means you care about it somewhat because you could actually care less about it.
Yeah.
Anyways, I probably did a terrible job describing that one as well.
No,
But
I don't think so. I think it's good.
point is, people use the phrases completely wrong. And that's because English is a terrible language. It sucks. And Americans are rather stupid most of the time.
Yeah.
And not just Americans. People always like talk down on Americans. Stupid Americans. I'm like, I think it's just people. I don't think it's Americans. I think people in general are just kind of dumb.
People are peopling.
Yeah, it's fine.
There you go. Yeah.
So, anyways, financial honesty, big one. And another thing along with relationships that doesn't have to do with nearly cheating on your partner is just being honest, like with your day-to-day life. When I ask you how your day was, sometimes you'll be like, it was shit. Today sucked. And I know in passing, like at work, people ask how your day was and you got to say, or how's it going? Oh, it's great. It's going good. You know, or at church, everyone always says blessed. How's it going? Oh, I'm so blessed. I'm like, it's good to tell people once in a while, you know, I'm struggling.
Yeah.
Especially your spouse. Like if you come home, it was a long day today, kind of sucked. Now, if that's every day, oh, it's the longest day of my whole life. That's a drain.
That just becomes you're absolutely a drain instead of like a fountain.
Yeah.
Like it not only becomes draining on your own personality when you're constantly like, oh my gosh, today was so bad. Like, and you just complain about everything that happened. You end up sucking the life out of the people around you too.
Right.
Like it totally just will immediately shift the energy in the room of like, okay, now like I can't talk to you about my day and it was actually pretty good. Or like, wow, I need a break for a second. Like,
Right.
you know, yeah.
But
That's
I think
rough.
being honest with your partner about how you're doing, or especially if you're someone who struggles with any sort of like mental, what do they call those? Disability? I was going to say disorder, but you know what I'm talking about.
Mental health disorder.
Like mental health issues. Yeah. If you struggle with anything like that, being honest about those things, and especially with your partner about how your day to day or hour to hour for some people, how that's going is really important.
Yeah.
You don't want to be hiding those things from the person who cares most about you and the person who more than anything wants to help you or get you help.
Yeah.
And this goes back to the same thing about if you share something with me, I may not be able to help you, but I can help you get the help that you need.
Right.
And it goes back to like, I can't fulfill all of your desires and I'm not made to, but there are other people that I can connect you with who could.
Yeah. And I think I'm definitely one of those people where that has been something that I've had to relearn a lot since we've been married and really since we started dating, just because from the time I was young up until now, like, so basically my entire life, I have always tried to shield everybody else from my problems or my pain because I think because I feel so everybody else's pain on such a personal level that I don't want my issues to be a burden to somebody else. Nobody ever taught me or told me that my problems or my pain was a burden. That's just instinctively what I decided at a young age. And so having to constantly relearn that of like, I have dealt with pretty crippling anxiety since we got married and beforehand, but there was a good solid like 2-month chunk of our marriage so far that I was like having anxiety attacks weekly, like several times a week. And just this constant, like never ending roller coaster of like fear and panic going on in my brain. And for a long time, I didn't tell Chris about it because I didn't know how to tell you. I didn't know how to unpack all of the details and like explain it in a way that didn't make me look completely just off the wall nuts. And then also like I didn't want you to be like, oh my gosh, like she's anxious. Like I got to figure out how to fix her. And not that that's how you treat me, but I didn't want somebody else to feel like all of a sudden my problem was now their problem. And so I had a very hard time with that. And then finally, I think you had overheard, we were at a family get together and you had overheard me talking to my mom about some stuff. And you're like, why didn't you tell me? Like you should have told me. And then I like, tears started flowing. And I'm like, I know, I just didn't want to burden you. Like, and that's been a very sweet and humbling reminder for me. It's like, there needs to be that honesty of like what's going on inside of my head. And that's for anybody too. And, that's been a very big lesson. I'm very thankful for it. But, so being somebody who has dealt with, I guess anxiety is technically a mental health disorder.
Definitely.
Dealing with that, it's hard, but I think there's also a freedom on the other side of it when you bring other people in.
Yeah.
So not only being able to share your story and what's been going on behind the scenes and in your head but there's freedom in that, but then there's also freedom in just the help of bringing other people in, because I think the enemy very much wants you to not be honest with your circle because they don't want you to be healed or to be relieved of that burden. They want you to keep thinking that you are alone and you're only going to be alone and you can only solve your problems alone and not with other people. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. The enemy certainly wants you to be isolated and alone because that's when he can get in your head more than any other time. If you surround yourself with godly people and people that love you, there's no place for the enemy.
Right.
But when you're on your own and isolated, we saw a lot of this during COVID when people were alone and isolated and depression rates were through the roof. Mm-hmm. Which makes perfect sense logically, but you don't want to go and tell all of your friends and everything that you're struggling with insane anxiety. And I get that. I think many of us have struggled with some form of anxiety at one point in our lives or another. And a lot of people like myself would never admit it. We'd just say like, oh, it was just stress for a couple days. But I think everyone goes through it at least a little bit at some point or another. And just talking to somebody, especially your spouse, like I said, the person that cares about you most needs to know those things. And I know how hard it is and how humbling from a man's perspective it could be to admit to depression or anxiety or anything, because there's been a big push about this recently in the public eye, which I think is awesome, about mental health in men and how you can't just always pick yourself up by your bootstraps. Because depression and anxiety are very real things. And there's a lot of things that I feel so strangely about this topic. There's a lot of things you can do to help with that. Working out is a big one before you get pharmaceutical help. But you shouldn't feel like you can't ask for help because you're a man or anything like that.
Right.
You should definitely, if you're struggling, reach out to someone, anyone. But especially your spouse, you shouldn't be ashamed or afraid, to admit what you're going through, because all that person wants to do is help you.
Right.
Or hopefully, I hope that's how your marriage is or your relationship is. If you're in a relationship with somebody who is just going to make fun of you because you say you have anxiety or depression,
you might need to say goodbye to them.
I got some news for you. It's
they're not it.
Yeah.
They're not it.
That's a big red flag.
Yeah.
You want to be with someone who supports you
Mm-hmm.
in all aspects of life. So, yeah, just being honest with that, your mental health, super, super big one.
Yeah. I agree.
And yeah, like you said, I mean, it's hard enough to admit it to your spouse and your family. So it's not like you have to go around marching around with a banner on your head that says, I have anxiety,
Yeah.
but it's also not something that you should be ashamed of.
I agree. Yeah. You don't have to wear it like it's a scarlet letter on your chest.
No.
So,
And that's
yeah.
another thing about social media and everything being in the spotlight is it's anxiety and depression is almost starting to be like glorified.
yeah.
The dogs are going crazy behind me. It's almost starting to be like glorified and cool. Like, oh, I have anxiety and I take 18 pills a day for this.
Yeah.
And you're like, it's not cool. It's a problem that needs to be fixed.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not a problem in saying that there's something wrong with you, but it's certainly not like the 100% ideal normal thing. It's a problem that needs fixing, but the problem isn't you. The problem is the problem, right? The problem is anxiety. Anxiety is a problem. You are not a problem.
Right.
You have this thing that you can tackle together, and there's ways to make it better. And you may go your whole life and it may never go away, but you can make it slightly better.
Yeah.
So anyways, long-winded answer, I guess. But I mean, anxiety, depression, mental health, be honest about those things with your spouse. Because again, they are very real things. And I don't want this to be like a glorification of those things and act like they're cool or fun to have, because they're certainly not. But they are real.
Yeah. I agree.
So anyways, do you have anything else?
I don't think so. I mean, I think my little rant that I had earlier, now thinking about it, I know I could have probably gone about some of that a little bit of a different way. And I think it would be a good idea for us in the future probably to unpack a little bit of our testimonies and stuff, because I feel like people would understand a lot more of why I get so a little heated about certain things of, women and the way that we portray ourselves and things like that, just because part of it comes from my personal story. But I think, yeah, I don't know, just thinking of future topics, I think I need to unpack that a little bit more of like my heart behind it and stuff. But, I think it falls down of like in just being honest with yourself and carrying yourself in a manner that shows that you respect yourself enough. I mean, aside from the world being a very scary place.
Yeah.
Because it makes it's hard enough to be a woman, but then, carrying yourself in a way that portrays you as maybe a little bit attention seeking or whatever you want to use, words you want to use to describe it, it makes it a lot tougher. Because you get some attention that you want, and then other times it's not good. So anyway, off topic, but I think that's
a lot of that comes from our faith and who you're called to be as a woman of God. You're called to not purposefully tempt people like that.
Right.
So yeah, I think we could definitely unpack that more. I think that one isn't one that we should get into depth on the fly.
Right.
Because it might need a little more mental preparation from our side.
Yeah.
Just to be prepared for that conversation, because that one might be a little emotional.
It's a big one.
Yeah.
Oh, emotional? For sure. For sure. Yeah.
All right. Should we do a connection card?
I think so. Is it my turn to read?
I don't know. I always lose track.
I think it's my turn.
I think it is your turn.
I think you did it last time. This is a good one. We've been on I like this deck a lot. Okay, you ready?
I think so.
Okay. What's one thing you would like to see happen in your life this year?
This year, we're getting close to the end of this year.
I know.
That's a tough one. So I had like 4 or 5 New Year's resolutions. I've definitely failed 2 of them miserably.
Yeah.
But the other 2 I'm doing pretty good on.
You are.
Read 20 books was one. I'm definitely going to reach that. I'm at 16 today, as of today.
You'll probably surpass it.
So I think it'll be the first New Year's resolution I ever actually completed.
It's impressive.
So I would say that would probably be one off the top of my head that's easy because it's like a yearly goal.
Mm-hmm.
What else? I don't know. I feel like we've done really well on our goals as a couple this year. Oh, we've already surpassed most of them. So I would say all of those things, all of our financial goals we've accomplished already, which is awesome because it's only September.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I don't know. Just for the rest of the year, we need to go do a couples getaway for a weekend. That's definitely on the list of things to do.
Yes.
That's not like a personal thing. That's an us thing.
Yeah.
So definitely that, because we haven't done anything since our honeymoon. I mean, we go on dates and things like that, but I feel like a weekend trip would be good for us.
Just the two of us.
Just the two of us. And then I guess the other thing, just like regarding life, is we're selling our house in a few months. So just getting the house ready. I think getting it at least a little bit ready before the holidays hit is a good goal.
Yeah.
Before the end of the year. But other than that, I don't really know.
I think my top one would be, I think our financial goals related, because we were so close to having, like, surpassing a lot of it and having all of our credit cards and stuff paid off. So I think that would be nice to actually see. Like, we're not doing this for nothing. Like, we're actually making really good progress in surpassing our goals. So I think seeing that, and then, I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
It's a tough one, right?
Yeah. I mean, maybe we discuss additions to our family or something by the end of the year, or I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one that we could probably talk about by the end of the year.
Yeah.
Adding on. But we'll see. We can talk about it.
Yeah. There's a time for it, but
yeah. We had this goal when we got married that we wanted to be married for like a year before adding on to our family.
Yeah.
Just to have that. We both want kids, but we wanted to have some time where it was just us to enjoy married life, even though we are pushing 30.
I'm already 30.
I'm pushing 30. But I mean, obviously as a woman, there's a biological clock.
Yeah.
And we want kids. So we want them to be healthy. And
yes.
So the younger you do that, the better.
Yeah.
As far as medical complications. So.
And for me, I want to be healthy too. So.
Well, that would be good.
Ideal. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Anyway,
that's all I got today. What about you?
I think that's it.
Think that's it?
Yeah.
All right. Well, we hope you guys enjoyed this one on honesty/social media.
It was kind of a hodgepodge of a lot of things.
Yeah, which is fine.
Yeah.
It's a conversation. It's how we roll. So anyways, that's all we got for this week.
Yeah. We will see you next Tuesday.
Bye.
Bye.